Hello everybody. Hi Sharon, hi Bianca, hi Lane, glad you made it. So, there are so many abalone tutorials out there and I'm not gonna get into it. I do have a public one up, I think. No, I only have a mother of pearl. The abalone was a sponsor one, but anyway, this is not going to be an abalone, it's going to be an abalone inspired, and that is because there are so many things you can do with abalone, and if you have any ideas of actual abalone, for abalone, you can put it into practice with using your version of for abalone with my design. But anyway, the way that I'm starting is actually with, this is Premo. It's Premo on the thickest setting on a pasta machine, cut with a 1.5 inch square cutter. And what I did, I used alcohol inks to tint it. And this would be the regular piñata alcohol inks. This is the Baja blue, this is the sapphire blue, this is the teal, and this is the blue violet. And why I chose these colors? Because of course this is abalone inspired, and this is the most common abalone. And if you look, what do you notice? You notice that these are actually the most common colors that you can see in an abalone. So this has absolutely no claim that it's made to look like an abalone. Now, the first thing that you need to do is, after you place the alcohol inks here, and I hope you can hear me well. I didn't see any complaint that somebody cannot hear or somebody cannot see. I actually did for the first time the auto start feature, so I hope it went well. So first of all, you have to wait for the alcohol inks to dry. And as you can see, I smeared them. I used some toothpicks to smear them all over, because if you just let them be the way that the drops go in, it's gonna take forever to let me actually see something. If I need to reinstall this. Yeah, I kind of need to reinstall this. Give me just a second. Hi, Becky. No, not a media source. I'm trying to re-add the machine. I guess it's not properly connected. Well, I'll have to check on it. I might have disconnected it. Never mind. Okay. Hi, Francis. So I'm going to mix this as much as I can. So first I'm just putting them in, folding them in. And the whole thing is that it's going to be about two differently deformed mokume ganes, and create a design with that, based on that. So I'm gonna go with them. Hi, Catherine. Real quick, and I'm going to go through a very thin setting so I can go fast. with it on a low speed. Okay, as you can see, they are not very brightly colored. If you want to go ahead and do for abalone with this, number one, I recommend that you use the way that I showed you a couple weeks ago. You use your own mixes using translucent and mica powder. And if you don't, and you decide to use white pearl with alcohol inks, just add way more alcohol ink than I added here. Caroline, I'm actually a little miffed because I finally managed to get under the table and fix the connection with the pasta machine camera, and I forgot to check the back. And I can't wait to see my primary care doctor Wednesday to rat on the radiologist who reviewed my x-rays when I went to see the doctor for my shots, because it finally got uploaded in the patient portal, and he said about, degenerative changes and all that kind of stuff. And then he's talking about the osteophytes in the carpometatarsus joint. Okay, so I have these, and why is that? In case you're not hi Karen, I hope you do. Hi Wendy. In case you don't know, you're not familiar with details of the human anatomy, the metatarsal bones are in the foot. The hand has metacarpal bones. So, talking about a radiologist who comments on an x-ray of the hand and talks about the metatarsals. So you see now why I'm not always very, very confident in the doctors I see. Okay, so now I'm going to bring these back to the thickest setting as much as I can, keeping them in a in the same sizes. Okay, this should work. This sorta kinda. And that's why I'm miffed that I cannot show the pasta machine, because I wanted to show you exactly how to fold for a faster mixing and also to rectangularize, squarify the whole piece. Okay, now for my next thing, what I'm going to do is to take a piece of white, and what I'm going to do with it is first get a blade. Thank you. First I'm going to get a blade, get an approximate width that would be kind of sort of similar to this, and then I'm going to bring it to a very thin setting, as thin as I can. Okay, so going to kind of pull on it a little bit more. My my little plastic sheets are all the way in the back. I cannot reach them right now. But I'm getting this as thin as I can before it starts actually ripping out. And then I place these. Oops. Hi Janine, how's it going? Gosh, I was looking at what happened in Mississippi with all those tornadoes. It's horrible. Here we are supposed to have again a severe storm threat Thursday, so I guess this year we are stuck on Thursdays. Rough trimming the extras, but I'm gonna get also the what's going over. This bottle is really in the way. And then I'm going to get them all through the machine on the second to thickest setting. All right. Next is to find what the heck I did with my finger cuts, which were here. Oh well. Somebody stole my finger cuts. Oh well, I'll have to do this with something else. Anyway, first I'm gonna get a piece of wax paper. Yeah, I think we had Thursday like up to 7 inches in some places. Hi Karen. And I'm going to place some black liquid clay, and that's why you see why I needed my finger cuts. These are not my finger cuts. No idea where they are. And you just smear it all over the white. Oh, forget it, I'm gonna mess up my finger. I do have alcohol here and I can clean it. So don't add too much. You need to have a very, very thin layer of black liquid clay. If you do not have black liquid clay, you can put in one of those little resin cups and put some translucent or white and mix in either some black pigment powder or even a little bit of black acrylic and mix it real good. But again, be very, very aware of the fact that it has to be very, very thin. So yeah, and unfortunately I discovered, I'm telling you, my poor Finnegan was left with quite a bit of sequelae, I would think. PTSD or whatever from when he had all that unfortunate history of having to be all by himself in various vet hospitals, because I had a very, I mean, obviously it was traumatic for him, but it was a little traumatic for me too, and it made me feel so darn bad. I was laying on the couch last evening before going to bed, watching TV, and Finnegan was in one of his zoomy modes. And you know what they do, they just run all over the house at high speed and all that. And at one point, he came from the side of the couch where my feet were and just simply ran along me, jumped on the other end of the arm of the couch, and jumped out from there. The thing is that, and I know it's my fault, I mean, not really my fault, but he's kind of due for a nail clipping, and I didn't get around to do that. The thing is that when he got to my tummy and chest, he practically dug his claws in to launch himself. And it was so, thank you, Michelle, and it was so unexpected and painful that I half rose and yelled at him, you know. And he stopped. By then he was like in the middle of the living room. He froze in place, looked at me, scurried in the hallway, and promptly started throwing up. After which he was for a little bit scared to come near me. I managed to get him to allow me to pet him, but I was like, oh my God, what in the world happened to this kitty to get so scared? And it's not like I never yell at them and it was something completely unexpected for him, because yeah, sometimes I do yell at them, not, you know, like, no, don't do that and stuff like that, because they have, especially Connor and Seamus, they have this thing, they are both adult boys, right? And they have this thing where they start loving on each other and grooming and stuff. And as you can see, I'm lifting any extra black liquid clay. And they start grooming each other and stuff, and then all of a sudden they start fighting with each other. And Finnegan doesn't really do that, but he's trying to entice them to play with him. Most of the time he bullies Connor into grooming him. I mean, Connor would be in the middle of the living room minding his own business, and here comes Finnegan and starts to headbutt him and rub all over his whole body against poor Connor's face, until Connor feels that he's obligated to start grooming Finnegan, and then Finnegan goes like, I am so happy. But sometimes he does that just to get Connor to play with him. So he would, instead of, you know, abandoning himself to the pleasure of grooming, he would start to try to wrestle Connor. But when Connor and Seamus get at it, it can be pretty vicious. So usually that's when I yell at them. But I don't know what was about this whole thing that he was so scared that it made him throw up. So I don't know. And I'm thinking, on the other hand, I'm thinking, I don't know what heart can somebody have to mistreat a cat like Finnegan. You know, I mean, it's okay. Now theoretically you're supposed to let it kind of dry properly. And then we are going to start stacking. Let me see what I want to have. I need to pay attention to the colors because I don't want to have the two blues one on top of the other. So this is a violet and this is the green. So I can have one of the blues and this is the other blue. Okay, so I'm gonna put the violet on top of one of the blues and the green on top of the other blue. And now I'm going to use wax paper because it's not fully dried out. But why I'm using this, I know that most of the faux abalone things that you see in tutorials out there, they have either black clay, some of them have acrylic paint. My thing about this is black clay, you'd have to do several stacking and going through the machine to make it thin enough that it wouldn't become too overpowering in the mokume gane, if you know what I mean. So and now I can go ahead and get these two one on top of each other, because now I know that I do not have the two blues one on top of each other. And I'm going to start working it, and I'm going to work it in length because I'll need two different stacks in order to get the two different deformations. Another thing that you can do, you can actually make a secondary stack with, let's say, just the blue and the violet, or one darker blue and one lighter blue. For the second combination, what I'm going to use now is going to be just plain the two different types of deformation of the stack. And yes, I'm going to put this on a mirror and resin it so you can see it right away how it's going to look when finished, sanded and buffed. And I'm going to show you another secret. Now I'm going to get with it through the machine on the thicker setting, but I'm going to use the wax paper so I don't have any liquid clay coming out on the rollers. And there we go. Now it should be the proper and starting to stack it. I don't really feel that I need to do a second pass to make it thinner. I think it's just fine the way it is right now, because it's going to thin out a little bit with my next flattening. So this should be it, and I'm going to keep, you can already see how pretty it's going to come out. So now for the first one, I'm going to use a ball stylus. You can always use your knuckles as well. And I'm deforming both sides. And as you can see, I use the medium one, and then I'm using a larger one. Hi, Sonia. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to very carefully start getting it back together. And try to get at it until I don't see any more spaces in these wrinkle thingies. And for this I'm going to both use the roller and my fingers when bringing it back together. So this should be it. Now with the second one, this is the most important thing. Let me first cut off these edges away. For the second one, this is the most important thing. Let me grab a different. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this and this, but in a specific way. So first I'm going to do and then I'm coming with the larger one. Actually, I don't think this is large enough. I'm going to go with this one. Then I'm going to go with the larger one right at the end of this one. On all these 3 rows. Oops, that one didn't come out very good. And then again I'm going to get rid of this to kind of pull this together. And you notice on this one I'm not going to do the back, only the front. But again, I want it to not have any kind of empty spaces here. And once again, I have to remind you that if you go on my channel's homepage and if you look in the playlists, there is a playlist that is all about 4 gemstones, and I have quite a few gemstones tutorials there. And the most that I have, because I have made several tutorials on turquoise, and not just on plain turquoise, but on different types of turquoise. Okay, I think that I'm almost done here. Almost. I still have a, see, I still have a couple. You want to be left with as little empty spaces as possible. And then I can go back and do this. Once again, if you want to create this in a type of more realistic faux abalone, you'll have to use stronger colors, not the pasteled colors that I use here. Now, my first thing will be to start shaving some. And I do need 2 pieces of wax paper. Remember, if I disappear all of a sudden, that means that my graphics card's gone bonkers again. And wait for like a minute, and if I don't come back, look for a second live to come out. And as usual, I'm going to put some Armor All on the blade so I can shave faster. And I'm going to place the roller, use the roller a little bit to make sure that it gets stuck to the tile. Alright, so I'm going to try and get as even slices as I can. As you can see, I have a certain pattern here. Okay, this was not a very even slice. Oh well. So this should be it. Now let's slice the other one. Yes, don't forget to like and subscribe. As the more interaction there is, the more my videos will get recommended. Okay, I forgot to do this. And this will be more convoluted than the other one. As you can see, this one is kinda has a regular thing going on. This one will not. It will be super duper convoluted. Started lifting. And there we go. I have two different patterns, mokume gane. Now what I'm going to do next, you can actually create your main base and bake it ahead of time, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to work directly. One more thing that I need to do is I need to get some white and mix it with a little bit of silver. Just give me a minute. And just a touch of gold. Here's my gold. Remember when I was doing, I show in a few tutorials of faux silver, that if you want to get the most realistic silver hue, don't think that if you use like something that's very pewterish or very aluminum-like is going to look a lot like silver. This is why I prefer the Art Alchemy waxes, because they catch that thing about silver. Silver has like a slightly golden tinge to it. I don't know how to explain it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix, as you can see, very little silver in some white pearl and add a grain of gold. So you like the more convoluted mokume gane better than the more controlled one? Alrighty, so I'm going to just get this all mixed up. You know, I already got the mirror tile to work on. I just did. So as you can see, I'm trying to speed up the mixing of the colors. Of course, if you want, you can use just plain old white pearl or plain old silver clays. It's entirely up to you. Okay, and after this I'm going to just have to get it through the machine so I can get that mica sheen thing, and in the process it's going to get perfectly mixed. And this is how it looks like, and if you compare it to the white, you can see that there is a difference between this and white, but it's a very, very light silverish thing. All right, now before I do anything else, I'm going to use the water lily cutter that you can find. I think you can find it in my Amazon influencer store as well as on PolyClay if you don't have it, and it's quite cheap. Please don't forget to use my links. And one of the things that I'm going to do is to first prepare my things. So I'm going to go with this one, and we are aiming for a pair of earrings. But what's going to happen is going to happen a design that goes pretty much like this, sorta kinda. It will be in this style. Okay, so first I need a good chunk of this, and I'm going to get it through the machine. And I had to go through the second thicker setting. And then I'm going to grab one of these, and again I'm going to go with it through the machine in length. Alrighty. Now, the way that the design goes, and of course if you're talking about an earring, you're going to do the whole thing symmetrical. So I said I'm going to use this one and this one. The set has 4, so it's going to be the smallest and the second biggest. So first I'm going to give it a cut here. And I did it on the second thickest, so my whole metal thing has to be on the same thickness. And I am going to cut a strip. First cut just to make things straight, and then I'm going to do a strip about 1.5 millimeters. And you can bake it like this and then take it off the tile and put a backing on it. Or you can go backwards and first bake shapes, kind of like on a medium thin setting, and then place these on it. And I wouldn't put resin on them. Doing these, I wouldn't put resin on them, but I would sand and buff them. But for purposes of, for reasons of time constraints, I am obviously going to just use resin so you can see how it will look like. Now what I'm going to do with this is to start slightly curve it. And yes, all the remnants of these you can make beads with. And I will show you, because I've been making beads with all kinds of remnants all day long. And then use the smaller cutter to go right at the edge of one of these lines of deformation, and you want to place it a little bit higher, but make sure that it comes all the way. It's a little bit too high, but make sure that it comes all the way into. And I need another piece of wax paper. And the last piece of wax paper, you just use it to burnish. Because you want it to be, of course, you're going to sand to perfect flatness, but before you get there, you want to get it all nice and set. Now comes the very careful cutting of this, and you want it to go so that it encompasses. You will go a little bit above this, but what you want to do is to be straight like this. And, oh, come on, I didn't cut well. Should have used my acrylic block. And we have this. Now this will not be the end of it, because we are going to add a silver frame. Okay, so I'm going to cut two more 1.5 millimeter strips. And as I said, you can use this as a pendant. It would work perfect on a little silver chain. Or you can make actual earrings and you just reverse the whole process. Yes. Just dropped a piece of clay on the floor. If you're wondering, guys, no, I still didn't start working on canes. I'm still a little bit afraid But I will, I promise I will. Those canes are part of the joy of working with polymer clay, isn't it? Okay, now second session of burnishing. There we go. So if there's anything that you need to of course, as I said, I would do this with sanding and buffing, so whatever little imperfection is on the edges, I would simply correct it with a sanding. But for purposes of showing you the results faster, yeah, see, I still have a little bit of bruising, so I decided that until the bruising completely disappeared and all the irritation that I have, I am not going to force myself to do stuff, and I've been faithfully wearing my braces, my splints. But you'll be able to see when once the resin is all set, how you can get a very realistic abalone if you do stronger colors. Now, of course, as an idea, you can do, instead of this whitish silverish thing, you can go ahead and watch my my mother of pearl tutorial, especially now that they put a search function on channels. It's much easier to find stuff, so I do recommend you, if you look for something, just searching on my channel, and chances are that I have a tutorial about it. Okay, let's get this in the UV lamp. But you can make all these lines with mother of pearl, and you can actually use a little bit the one that's in the middle, the one that goes, you know, like this in the middle of the whole thing. You can actually do it a little bit thicker, or do just that one with mother of pearl and just do regular silver on the edges, on which you can put some metallic wax. But it is very delicate and it will work just fine. Give me just a second. I think I have them here. Even when they are very, and yes, this is up on the channel, even when they are very simple. So this is one of my mother of pearl. It's an earring, it's a whole set. And this is made with Pardo, but let me actually refocus this so you can, I'm not going to refocus, actually I'm going to zoom so you can see better the whole mother of pearly thing. But as I was saying, even when it's smallish like this, and once again I have to repeat, this is a pendant, I have to repeat, Pardo is much better in this kind of stuff than Premo. I didn't do this with Cernit. Maybe I should try and do this with Cernit, but even when they are very, very simple, they still look fabulous. So this is a faux abalone. But anyway, it's done curing. So let's take a look at it. Oops. As you can see on this one, I'm going to refocus, not to zoom. There we go. As you can see, it's just and you can invert these if you want. You can do the lined holes, mokume, gane on top and then do the other one on the bottom, but you see how this whole thing, it's a very simple design, but it makes everything look super elegant. And as I said, it is abalone-inspired. You can nevertheless remember what I was saying at one point. If you get a beautiful combination of colors and patterns and stuff that look like a mineral, you don't have to dab it with the name of a gemstone, even if it maybe slightly reminds anyone of a gemstone. You don't have to. It doesn't have to look like a gemstone. You don't have to dab it for gemstone. It's just beautiful. So you can go ahead and try with different colors, and because nowadays we have in various brands. Remember that in Pardo, the jewelry, and and I have that on my website on Kalyana design, and it's on the front page. Give me just a second and I shall show you. On the front page on kalyanadesign.com, there is the jewelry line colors, and I put under each of the colors the properties, because in the jewelry line some of them have a mild translucence, some of them have a mild pearlescence, some of them are opaque, some of them have no pearlescence, some of them are quite pearlescent. So you can use some of these from Pardo. I know that Pardo is a little bit harder to obtain, but not so much. And you can try with Pardo mother of pearl, you know, and use alcohol inks on it. And the same Cernit has quite a bit of colors that you can try. But remember, with Cernit, the thing is that you have different colors of the mica particles in the clay. So I would still go with Cernit Pearl and just use alcohol inks because it makes a better thing. But try with different colors. You can try with various hues of reds and maybe a yellowish or an orange. Like I had here I had two hues of blue, a teal that has a little bit of blue, and the blue violet. Why they didn't call it indigo, I don't know, but they were related. So you can go with two hues of red, and then with a slightly orangish red, because think about this. If you think of the color chart right? You'd have blue, green, and violet, right? So I used two blues, a blue that was going a little bit towards the green and a blue that was going towards the violet. So you can do the same thing with red, because you have red, yellow, violet. So go two reds, one red that's slightly orangish and one red that's slightly violetish, kind of like a fuchsia. So try like that. Of course you can try different colors, but the whole idea of this specific type of mokume gane is that it kind of keeps it on all in a little bubble of similar hues of colors, and that is what it gives it the more classy, refined aspect. So real quick, because I said that you can use all the remnants from this to make beads, I'm going to slightly deform this. I have a few remnants here. I'm going to slightly deform this. I'm going to do some slicing and dicing. And then what you simply do is you take a little bit of yes, absolutely, absolutely. And then make a little bead with mud clay and just slap on it the remnants, because due to the fact that it is a mokume gane, you don't have to follow any kind of lines, you don't have to match anything. So simply add these on the bead and then just roll the bead until there's no more folding lines. And you can varnish the bead, because I know it's a little bit hard to sand and buff beads. I've been there, but there you go, you have a beautiful faux abalone style. And again, as you can see from why I used the whole black liquid clay, I do have some, but they are very hard to notice by themselves, the lines of black, but they help separating the colors in the whole mokume gane. So let me go ahead in a little zoom here so you can see what I'm talking about. See, there is a faint, I mean not faint, a very super thin line of black that separates the colors without being too prominent, without being too see, and it defines the whole thing. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me actually put the link to the mother of pearl. There's actually two different one is one is with both Premo and Pardo. So this would be the, I don't want the video details, I want the video. Come on. Come on. Okay, so this is the mother of pearl. And if you search, actually, if you search mother, just mother on my channel, you're going to get the, because I have the tutorial on how to make the mother of pearl, and then I have how to make that jewelry set that I just showed you, and then I have how to make here comes with mother of pearl inlay. So there you go. I hope you enjoy making it and you try at least with this color combination. If not, if you don't want to go further and do more color combinations, but these all look beautiful, and just try it. It's very, very delicate and very, very classy. And remember, you go more pastelish. Okay, that's awesome, Wendy. Thank you so much, and I will see you all next Sunday. Have a wonderful week. Stay safe, be healthy and happy. Bye.